So on the point of sale menu, into US national transaction. So if we search for a customer, and we've got one for enterprise. So we select the customer, select a vehicle. Everything works the same way as a usual transaction for US national account. I shall populate some extra bits, put a mileage in, put a phone number if you wanted to. We'll say continue. As soon as we press continue, VOL will talk to Expedited approvals. It'll send the account number for enterprise over and see if they're enrolled in the program. Good year's requirement, billing requirements for the enterprise. Populate one now. National account message, no VCR report. And then VOL will talk to EA and they will tell us if enterprise is enrolled or not. If they are, we end up with an extra button on the bottom, so you can see the Expedited approvals button on the bottom right hand side, so it knows that the account is enrolled. Works the same way as a normal transaction. So if we add part number, so I should put a part number on, it'll run through a checks, make sure the pricing is correct for this account, for this brake inspection. Changes the price over to the national account pricing, $33.55. Because it's now enrolled in Expedited approvals, there'll be a couple of more information it'll need. So on the modal, we'll have to just fill in some information, arrival date, time, and so on. So if we go to Expedited, you've got a couple of tabs. There's a preventative maintenance tab. So depending on the vehicle you've got and the mileage of said vehicle, if EA tells us of any preventative maintenance, it'll show us in there. So if we go to the status tab, we'll need to put in a service type. So we can say it was a scheduled shop service. The vehicle came in, was due in this morning at 9:30, and we're due to complete it for 5:30 tonight. And what we can do on the line information, we can give reasons, positions, and so on. So depending on how EA have configured different accounts, each account needs different things. So even if the user forgets to populate something and tries to create a document, update a document on EA system, and it's missing information, they will tell you, so you can't get them wrong. So I'll just select a couple for now, press save. And it's just a case of pressing the save work order. So previously, without Expedited approvals, you have to save the work order in VOL, log into the Expedited website and double entry everything. Select the same customer, put the same vehicle on, select your same part number. As soon as we press save work order, it just does it all for us. It will create the work order in VOL. It will then talk to EA's servers and create the document, because this is the first thing we're doing. So we can select some authorizations for our system. Don't need a signature. Communicate with the EA server and the web service. And then EA are happy. So the document has been created in the background. It's created it in VOL and also on the Expedited approval server. So the user now, you just print the document out, do what he normally does with his printed work order, gives it to the technician, puts on his notice board, and in this case, would go and do his brake inspection on the Ford F250 for Enterprise. So in a second, we will see the PDF. We can print those off. So we can print the work order off if we needed to. We can press cancel and we're back to the beginning. So the user can carry on with the next transaction. Another customer in the queue and just slowly work through. If we edit that work order now, so we can find it, if we go into outstanding work orders, we can find that transaction, edit that. It will take us back to where we were with the break inspection, national account messages. So we can see same transaction, same customer with the product on there for the break inspection. So if we go to the expedited approvals and look on the status tab, there is a status for each document. So it's been created, which means it's created in VOL and it's also created on the EA system as well for us. So we can do anything we want. We could edit that, we could add extra lines, edit it as many times as you want, and then every time you save the work order, it talks to EA, adds an extra part number on, edit it as many times as you require. Once you've got everything on, all you need to do is just submit for approval. You just go to finish, submit for approval. It will do some final checks in the background to make sure everything is okay and both systems are happy. So I'll just do our authorization for us. VOL will do its final checks, make sure everything is okay, make sure the pricing is good, and we can sell those parts. It will then talk to EA and say the document that we've created and submit for approval all in one go. So it's all been saved. EA's VOL has been updated. The document on expedited approvals has been submitted for approval. So what we can do, if we can quickly see, we can edit that work order. If we look at the status now, it will be sat on EA waiting for someone to investigate it. Obviously, it all depends on how the EA system set up. It can be automatically approved, but at the moment ours do not do that. So when we look at the status of this document, we should have waiting. If we look on the status tab, then the current approval status is waiting. So it means someone on EA needs to look at the document, see what was sent through from VOL, and just authorize anything or reject lines. And it's just a case of going through, waiting for the system to come back, waiting for the document to be returned. So the user can do anything they want. At the moment, they can carry on with other work, and then they have a little icon on the top which does go through periodically. Every hours is set to 10 minutes at the moment. It depends on the user and the system. You can change it and you can have it automatically updated, and it will just alert the user to any document changes. So you can see the documents that have been submitted and they're all currently waiting. If that changes, so if someone looks at that document on EA, disputes a line, rejects it, or approves it, the icon on the top will alert the user to documents that need attention, and they'll just find the document and invoice.
Can you approve that document on the EA side?
No, we can't. We don't have access to it, unfortunately. We don't have access. We have to get Goodyear to do all those for us. We email them and then they do them each night for us for testing.
Okay. So. Great. Can we start and do a local book?
Yep. The local book transactions slightly different. For obviously the one we've just been through, which was US National, it does it for every transaction. So every transaction that goes through US National, if it's enabled for EA, it will send that document through and talk to EA. For local books, because they're more retail orientated, we don't want to every single retail customer to say, well, I'm doing a transaction for Mr. Smith. Do I need to talk to a local book for expedited approvals? Yes or no? Because it'll just be doing too many internet calls. So there's just one extra thing that you need to set up. So into maintenance in customer types, you can configure your customer type and just say, I need these. So if we look at this one, we've got an example one set up, and there's just a fleet approvals account. And all it'll do then is if you do a transaction for a customer with this customer type, it knows to talk to expedited approvals to see if they're enrolled and then submit the document. So if we go into customer contact, customer, we'll use this one that we've got an example of. You can see that it is enrolled as a customer type of expedited approval local book. So it will talk to the web services, select the vehicle. Same as the last time, we can change anything we wanted to. If the customer's got a new phone number, update anything whilst we're here. So we could press continue. Will take us through to parts entry. It will do the verify enrollment because the customer type has got the option set. Talks to EA, asks them if they're enrolled. If they are, same as before, we get the expedited approvals button. So we can do the same thing again. We could product. So we'll put a couple on if needs be. So we can say that. We can say they also add a there as well. If I type the part number in. So we'll do a brake inspection and a tyre. We can go to expedited approvals. So as you can see this time there's no preventative maintenance because that only applies to US National accounts for those. And there are a couple of extra options on the bottom for local books. So local books require a location ID for the transaction. So the user would need to populate the location ID that they're doing this transaction for, the service type, and against the line item, we will say that we're doing it passenger front and passenger front, so they're replacing a tyre on the front left of the vehicle, and they're also doing the brake inspection as well on there. So if we go to more and car information, any information that is populated inside VOL is automatically included and sent over to Expedited as well. So if I go to tyre information and put my tread depth, for example, all this information is sent over to Expedited when we're creating documents. We can also do brake pad thicknesses So we could populate those for our brake inspection, so EA will get that information as well. We can save those. And if we do save work order, it will save the transaction in VOL, create the work order, talk to EA, and create the document on their system all at the same time. So that will mark our authorization and say no to a customer signature. VOL will run through its checks that it needs, talk to EA, and create that document in the background. If there's anything missing, so if you did sold a tyre, for instance, and not populated a tread depth, EA would have told us, and VOL basically halts the progress, waiting for the user to populate what is needed from EA. We've got the document, so we could print that off, give it to a technician, goes away and replaces his tyre and does his brake inspection. Takes us back to the beginning, user can carry on with his next transaction and go through next customer in the queue. If we edit that particular work order, it will take us back to parts entry. With it being an EA transaction enrolled in the expedited approvals, we'll have the extra button again. We can go into there, we can look at the status, and we'll see that it was created. So this can be edited again. Whilst they were doing the brake inspection, they might have noticed that something else needed doing, so they could put another tyre on. They did the passenger's right tyre at the same time, add extra lines, save your work order, saves it in VOL, populates that over to expedited approvals, all in one go. Same process as the US national one. Once everything's been done, all the parts are on, click on finish, submit for approval, and it will send that transaction over to EA. And then obviously, depending on how it's configured on the EA side, if it's automatically approved, we'll go through. Obviously for us, we will end up with a waiting status because someone will be manually looking at ours. So on your signature, create our authorization details. VOL will do its checks, make sure everything's correct, create the work order, do a save, and then submit it to Expedited for approval. So it's just doing that now. And that's it, work will have been updated, submitted for approval. So it's now in the hands of Expedited. So if I edit that one to go back in, we'll be able to see the status is waiting again. So it takes us back to where we were, into Expedited approvals, and the status is now waiting. And that's as far as it can go with our testing.